All right. Starting in 5, 4, 3.
Yummy like a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for August 12th, 2024. I forgot what I say. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game This Morning's Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Tango Gameworks rises from its grave. Borderlands is a massive flop. And do we know the gimmick for the Switch 2? But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game This Mornings. It's Sean, TurboShawn McDowell. How are you doing, Sean?
I would rather be playing 2XKO right now.
I bet. Yes. There's, I tried a little bit to get in there. Tam was like, hey, no, I can get you in there. And then I just completely forgot. So, but now everyone keeps talking about it, making it sound very good.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Okay. So solos, it's great.
Right.
It's a Marvel style game. It's very fun on its own. A lot to learn, though. A lot of depth there. And I'm glad that they added a lot of depth early on. But Jeff, the real sauce is in the duos mode.
That sounds incredible.
So much fun.
It sounds so. Give me a general idea how this works. Is it like tag team fighting, basically?
Yeah. So the way to think of duos is you always have control over your character. So if you are the primary character, you choose to leave the screens because, in tag fighters, you like switch out back and forth.
Right.
So you can choose to leave the screen and like send in your buddy. But your buddy always chooses when they are on screen. So that may be confusing at first, but you know how in a tag fighter, you call in an assist?
Mm-hmm.
Your friend needs to determine when they want to be on screen, so they call in their own assist.
Oh.
So then when they are on screen, you, the active player, can choose to leave the screen. Again, it takes a second to get used to, but yeah, then you can choose to tag out once they are on screen. Like both people
that makes sense. Okay, no. Once you explain it like that, okay, so. Yeah. That's probably fun to like get on the right wavelength with your teammate. Then I bet there's a lot of joy
especially in an online game where me and my friend can be on a Discord call and like be actively talking and figure out strategies on the fly. Where he was playing a offensive character, he was playing Yasuo, the samurai character. I was playing Braum, the dude with the giant shield. So, in an assist game, the dude with the giant shield is going to be very defensive and help out their teammates. What happens when a human being has full control over that?
Yeah.
Whenever assist was up, because it's on a 3-second timer, like, a lot of tag games, every 3 seconds, basically, I could say, okay, I'm going to shield you. And then he would do a super risky move, but I would call in the shield, which gives him a hit of armor. So the opponent can't retaliate. And then he attacks back and we get giant combo off. It's so much fun to play duos, Jeff.
It sounds incredible. We'll have to get in there. And this game might come out this year, but it's maybe looking more likely for 2025.
Yeah, no. I was talking to the director, Sean, at Evo. He was very much like, yep, 2025. And I was like, can you guys commit to a window even loosely at this point? He's like, 2025.
2025. Okay. Well, as we get closer,
surprised if it's a little later in the year.
Yeah, that sounds like what he was trying to say there. Yeah. As we do get closer, though, we'll hop in there and we'll see if we can make that a thing here, where we all take turns with building teams and fighting and stuff like that.
The lobby is very cool, Jeff. If you haven't seen it yet, just real quick, it's the Arc System Works style lobby where you have like your little avatars running around, but you can actively watch any match that's happening on the little arcade machines. It's not just for show anymore.
That's really cool. Yes,
we can just hang out in a lobby. We could like in the future get TNT going or something where just a bunch of Giant Bomb, friends and fans are hanging out, and we can just watch each other's matches, and you could commentate them and stuff. It's going to be a great game.
I saw Borderlands.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Jan said we should see it for work, and then I saw in the Discord, he saw, and he's like, I don't even want to talk about it because there's absolutely nothing going on in that movie, and Jeff, it's rough, man.
I am one of the few people on Earth who literally could get paid to see this movie, and you can't pay me to see this movie.
It is rough. I am describing it mostly as a gauntlet where it is just nonstop, like beating you down with loud noises and nonsense. It is so crazy that this movie even exists. There is just nothing inside of its head. And it's like so much worse than that, because it's not even interested in like doing anything that has any emotional weight ever. It is just a bunch of weird dude bros sitting in a room going, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And then they end up with scenes where, and I'm going to spoil this movie a little bit. Sorry, everybody, but
if you cared.
Yeah, there's Tiny Tina, and they're playing the whole movie like, you know, she's going to be like this important character that's going to ascend or whatever, get these powers. And it's like, no, instead, the main character gets those because she's the main character. And she literally says, Cate Blanchett literally says to Tiny Tina, like, you're special, just not in that way. You're not like actually special. You're just like kind of the other special, and it's really weird because it's like she's just saying like you're a little girl who thought like you were important and you've been living your life like that, and you're not. And it's like why even have this scene? Who thought that this was a good idea? Where we're just gonna feel bad for this younger character so that Cate Blanchett can get fire wings and a cool action scene at the end of the movie.
Probably
that just
Randy.
Sucks. It was probably Randy.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know,
Why?
Jan.
Why?
Yeah. Please.
Oh, Jan just faded out of existence. Okay.
Yeah, and that's I don't blame him. There were several times in the movie where I just had to like literally put my hands on my head because it was an assault on the senses in all the worst ways. Honestly, it does remind me a lot of early video game adaptations. UV Bowl, absolutely. It is just like one crazy scene after another that has nothing to say and it's just painful to watch. So yeah, go see it.
Did you take anything out of this? Is there, because clearly it's not so bad it's good.
Well,
is it so bad that it's funny that it's bad at the very least?
I think so. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It is not a fun watch, but it is fun in the moment to be like, oh my God, I can't believe that this thing exists and that I am going to, there might be a time where I survive this movie. It is, and like thinking about Cate Blanchett's career, like I couldn't help but think like, this is, I'm just going to be thinking about this forever. And when we look back at her career, it'll be like, oh, remember when she did that Borderlands movie? And that's going to make her career more interesting. So there's fun stuff to like consider while you're watching it. But
I mean, yeah, like Tam said on GMM on Friday, just like shout outs to the actors for getting the bag, dude. They are just like, sure, you're gonna give me money to do this shit, fine, whatever.
Sean, have you ever seen Spy Kids?
I love Spy Kids, Jan, who's very quiet, by the way, but yes,
I'll turn him up.
Bad Spy Kids.
Yeah,
no good Spy Kids.
I mean, Spy Kids 3 was bad Spy Kids. How do you get more bad Spy Kids than that?
Got to be worse than that.
Borderlands.
Yeah.
Borderlands.
Okay, man. Well, the BCR this week.
Yeah, well, this will be BCR this week. That's a good idea.
Okay.
I really liked all the bad CGI and the bad green screens and stuff. There are several moments where it's like, it looks so bad that it almost feels like it's done on purpose, and that's fun too. So I don't know. I enjoy how bad it is, but I think for most people, when they say it's so bad, it's good and it's fun, this is not the type they're talking about. This is truly like you need to be ready for a pain box. Okay. And yeah, I don't know, but hey, it's in theaters now. Everybody go see it if you want, I guess. Let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Tango Gameworks saved by PUBG publisher Krafton. Hi-Fi Rush rights also acquired. This is from Jason Finelli at GameSpot. Yeah, we did it, everybody. Tango Gameworks was closed by Microsoft in May, and many lamented the loss of a studio that had operated for nearly 15 years and produced games like surprise 2023 hit Hi-Fi Rush. Seoul-based publisher Krafton Inc. has saved the day, however, as the firm announced that it has acquired both Tango Gameworks and the Hi-Fi Rush IP from Microsoft. The agreement will allow Tango to continue developing the Hi-Fi Rush IP and explore future projects, according to Krafton's official announcement of the move. The statement also confirms there will be no impact on other Tango projects like The Evil Within and Ghostwire Tokyo, which will remain with Microsoft. Hey, okay. I didn't know this was an option. I didn't know that this was possible. This is incredible, especially because it did happen back in May. We are now in August. That's like, a quarter of a year has gone by where we've just been like, that studio's done. And Microsoft never even like suggested that like they put the team up on the off-ramp block or something like that. So for Krafton to come along and be like, hey, we'll take the team on. And I guess they put out the word like, hey, if you worked at the studio, come back. You have a job. Basically, is what it sounds like. How realistic that is, we'll see. But that's amazing.
Wild. Yeah. Like the initial story I read was like they're saying like, yeah, we want to ease the transition between Microsoft and us or something. I'm like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
What? You're bringing a zombie back, dude? Wow. Yeah. Of all people, publishers, whatever companies, Krafton is not who I would have expected.
Right. Krafton seemed like they might have like lost their appetite for this sort of thing after what was the space sci-fi
Callisto Protocol?
Callisto Protocol, thank you. After Callisto Protocol, which was very expensive, seemed like it got rushed out by Krafton specifically. And then the final result wasn't very impressive and it didn't sell very well. I might be losing frames here, everybody. I'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, so I thought after that, they would not be interested in something like this. So to see these headlines and be like, well, okay, so like Krafton, they're getting back in this and they specifically are doing it to acquire Hi-Fi Rush so this team can make more Hi-Fi Rush. Okay, that sounds good. And now, let's be real. A Hi-Fi Rush 2, like even one that's bigger than Hi-Fi Rush 1 is probably still not as inexpensive of a project as a Callisto Protocol was, which seemed like it cost a lot of money when it was all said and done. I think we have a number for that, but it was like 60, 70, 80 million dollars or something for that, maybe even more. Or Hi-Fi Rush 2, you could probably get away with like, a smaller team really focused on the combat and the music. And if you nail that, you have most of the game right there. So maybe this is the scale that they've been eyeing all along, and they're very happy to swoop in and do that. But either way, I know Hi-Fi Rush was your game of the year, right?
Runner up.
That's right.
Only to Tears of the Kingdom.
Right,
but that's almost like to compete against Tears of the Kingdom. You basically are my game of the year. The thing about this is they keep pointing out in like releases I've seen about the IP. They got the IP Hi-Fi Rush. Do not be surprised if we see some mobile version or mobile game or something spun out of this, maybe even by a different team or something or whatever. Whether you want that or not, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. If they want to do more with the IP, because like this untapped new IP of, anime adjacent variety, Saturday morning cartoons. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that in addition to the inevitable Hi-Fi Rush 2, which they are probably going to try to push pretty hard, which I'm all for. Yeah, that first game ruled.
Yep, I'm down as well. And I think an Elite Beat Agent style Hi-Fi Rush for mobile, give me that. Yeah. Go make that right now.
Do that.
Go make waifus in it. I don't care.
Yeah, go make like a cartoon that you like peddle somewhere on Prime Video or something.
Prime Video, right? Exactly. They all end up there.
Yeah,
right?
there's definitely money to be made here, and I think that's what they're like. They're like, shoot, like we pulled this team out of the depths, and we get a bunch of stuff that we can use for all these multimedia projects. That's where I see them looking, and I don't know, like that seems okay to me.
Yeah, I mean the game, the Hi-Fi Rush had very strong characters, a really good look, and a striking style. You can take all that and apply that very easily to any number of mediums, and really what that is like players connected with what they saw in those games, and that's what you could trade on. That's what makes Hi-Fi Rush valuable, and it's what's going to keep this team alive, apparently. So
yeah,
really cool stuff.
Even with saying get Studio Trigger to make an anime, they did Cyberpunk Edge Runners and everything. My favorite studio, if they did Hi-Fi Rush, first of all, that's a perfect match for them. Like the whole like rock music mixed with like high energy anime. Sure, make a show out of that. Just do it. That'd be great.
That'd be excellent. Ghostwire Tokyo, Evil Within, not going with the studio, but those were like. I think the team that probably is going to remain at Tango Gameworks is likely the Hi-Fi Rush people. So
Right.
That is what and that if they're going to work on that next, they probably wouldn't have the capacity to work on something like that. Do you think Microsoft ever does anything with the Evil Within or Ghostwire Tokyo ever again?
Ghostwire Tokyo, probably not.
Probably
Evil
not.
Within, I think there's like potential there, but that's also a kind of thing where you would have to like hand it off to different people. So I'm not sure that they would want to do that over like, something original. Just the fracturing of IP from team, and now some of the team is scattered. We'll see how much of that comes back. And just everything is going to be weird regarding all of this right now. I think just the future of the future of this team with Tango is with Hi-Fi Rush, and then the IP may be staying just where it is with the respective rights holders at Bethesda and everything.
Yep. All right, let's move along here to the next story. Nintendo Switch 2 may have second cooling fan and higher wattage charger. This is from Ryan Whitwam at Extreme Tech. Nintendo had an instant hit when it launched the Nintendo Switch. Gamers took to the hybrid console setup, making the Switch the best selling console of this generation. And Nintendo is now looking to build on that success. The Nintendo Switch 2 could be revealed in just a few months. In fact, we know it, but it's going to be revealed within the next 6 months at some point. And the device could have more cooling and faster charging than the current model. Nintendo has yet to confirm anything about the new console's hardware. These details come from the Nintendo fan forum Family Boards, where gamers have perused shipping manifests to infer what Nintendo is planning. The console sleuths have discovered that Nintendo is purchasing a second cooling fan, which does not appear to be for the console itself. So maybe for the dock is what people are speculating. Like the original, the Switch 2 is expected to have a cooling fan inside to keep the next generation Tegra chip cool. This second fan is smaller than the one inside even the current Switch, leading to speculation that the fan is destined for the dock. The current Switch dock is a little more than a glorified HDMI mount. With the addition of a cooling fan to the sequel, that could suggest a higher power mode with better performance. Now, the Family Boards is this is like what they do. They look for any sort of information like this. There could always be noise in the signal. Sometimes they do find signal in the noise, of course. I think that, I wouldn't be surprised by this. And if there is a cooling fan in the dock, I think it's probably for two things. One being like what they're saying here, a higher wattage mode when it's docked, which is something the Switch already does, but maybe they're going to be willing to. Maybe they're likely they're speccing out the new Tegra for this idea explicitly. And that means that, hey, maybe we can have an even higher power mode that can support, rendering video at 4K, things like that. Then, even like rendering video at 4K for Netflix can cause a chip to get pretty hot. So that'll be useful for that. Now, the other thing is there were some people on Family Boards saying that one of the rumors they've heard, and this is a rumor, is that the Switch 2 dock connected to your TV will be able to output video on its own, whether or not the Switch 2 is docked or not. And that means maybe a couple of things. One, maybe there will be some like menu navigation stuff you can do there that's been like, hey, we're waiting for the dock. And in the meantime, here's some settings. And then also it could mean that you could have a wireless Switch 2 connected to the dock that could beam video. So you could have either dual screen video, or you could just be holding the Switch 2 and play your games on the TV without having to actually connect it.
I would assume way less than that. I would assume it's just a Switch not connected screen.
Yes, that's why I led with that, because people are jumping to dual screen gaming is coming back. And I think the more likely scenario is this is just a slightly less dumb dock than last time.
Yes.
It's the most likely scenario. Maybe it does like have its own processor for streaming video when the Switch 2 isn't connected. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
No, that doesn't seem like Nintendo's MO.
Doesn't
either.
seem like their style. Yes.
Like the dock, I got stashed away somewhere. I unplugged after we played Switch Sports because I'm using the Switch right now. Let me tell you, I got Steam Deck right back there. The dock itself is basically just a USB-C hub, like you can buy on Amazon, and just plug that thing in. It's just that Nintendo only allows certain. It's really weird the way they do it, where I forget exactly what it is, because you can have third-party docks. They've been around for a while, but they need to meet this specific.
It's the power delivery issue, right? That seems to be the.
It's not even power delivery. It's something else where like some handshake needs to happen with
Right.
the HDMI
Okay.
and everything where, yeah, that needs to happen. Anyways, I would just assume that they're making it a little more user friendly so that like older people can figure out, oh, maybe this isn't connected right. Like the dock can tell them something is loose, something is disconnected, and you know, these things are plugged or unplugged. I'd assume that's what's happening there. The fan thing, on the other hand, so people may not know this. The Switch, as it is right now, is severely underclocked even in docked mode. And that's because of the way they did this setup where the dock is very dumb.
And,
It's just
and the
a hunk of
rumors are
plastic.
Switch 2 is going to be the exact same way, where in handheld mode, it's going to be very underclocked.
Right, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because especially if they, I maintain, we've both said this, you only need to hit 720p in handheld.
Oh, yes.
Like for like
Yeah,
a
they'll-
6-ish
They will
screen.
probably do a 1080p screen, but yes, they should only do 720p.
Yeah, rendering at least should only be
Yes.
at 720. Like if you need to go up to 1080 for ease of getting those panels in there,
Exactly,
fine,
right,
whatever.
yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, the point is that with the dock having a second fan, that would be helpful for when maybe they actually let this chip go up to its maximum bounds or like, you know, a little bit below maximum bounds so it doesn't get too warm, since you will be, you know, there will be situations where you just, you know, take the Switch out right away and you don't want it to be hot or anything. So that's probably what that is there for, to making it always cool and comfortable to handle and everything like that. But then you can push those, you know, like we were saying, you're not gonna have like 4K games on the Switch 2 necessarily. Maybe indie games could if it supports that, but you probably will have 4K video out just so it looks a little nicer on
Right.
your 4K TV.
Exactly.
And then, you know, any video apps that do show up can't support that and everything like that. And just having a second cooling fan, making any upscaling run a little bit easier too, if they are doing some DLSS equivalent or AI upscaling, anything like that, you know, like making the system run cooler, because all that does require horsepower. That's what I see happening here.
Now, okay, so then let's do the pie in the sky version, where the you know, the post I saw on Family Boards was it's like a reverse Wii U with DLSS. And so, right,
It's nice to want things.
It's nice to want things. I also am like, let's you know, pump the brakes here a little bit and be a little bit realistic and try to keep a perspective on this. But if that does happen, if that is the gimmick here, where it is like, oh yeah, you could just beam video to your thing, and probably uses like some new protocol or Wi-Fi Direct or something like that. I don't know, and that could work. I would be okay with it, but I'm not sure that I think it is. I don't. It doesn't feel like Nintendo style to go back to something after they've already gone away from it. And dual screen gaming coming back now. To be fair, they have a lot of dual screen games that they can up-res and remake and all that stuff, and that way they would probably want to do that. Maybe that's where Nintendo's at right now. But I don't know. I think they want to make stuff feel pretty similar to the Switch, and I think the kinds of gimmicks that I was expecting would be less to do with how the games themselves are rendered or presented. And I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think this is just going to be a continuation of what they already have, because under new management, I think they recognize that the Switch was a success for very specific reasons, and that you just don't mess with what works.
Yep.
You know, they were willing to take more risks under the Iwata period of Nintendo. Even before that, I watched Did You Know Gaming's recent 64DD episode, and even under the previous president before that, they were willing to take more risks. That's how we got stuff like 64DD. I think this is going to be more of the same with some cool new tech that they try that may not be intrusive. So think like, you know, HD Rumble, that kind of thing. With Nintendo, you always need to look at what tech is out there right now, because they are just very smart in repurposing existing tech to do new things. And I just don't see any sort of like dual screen thing really happening here, if nothing else, because it might be confusing to consumers, and they don't want that, because they definitely have the market of easy to understand. Like, so many people I know just have a Switch because they're like, oh yeah, the Switch just works, I don't need to think too hard about it and everything like that. That's what I think they're going to stick with.
Yeah, I think the gimmicks I would like to see would be similar stuff to like, being able to beam a wireless video signal. But I would want that to be used for a Switch 2 just knows when other Switch 2s are around, and it can like intelligently handle multiplayer gaming sessions and Street Pass similar ideas, things like that. And
sure.
And like, you can, do a thing where it's like, okay, we are playing on one system, and people are bringing their system over, and now we can just beam them all to one dock that can take all this information in and either display the side-by-side gameplay or something like that, or just use it as a controller. I mean, things along those lines.
The existing Switch does already do a lot of that. Yes. A lot of games don't take advantage of it.
It's very archaic in the way it does that stuff. The way, yes, and I just kind of want it to be a little bit more intelligent. Yeah. I just kind of feel more natural, and I think that they might have stuff like that they will bundle up in some new marketing term and present it that way. But we'll see. Right. Either way, higher wattage charger and second cooling fan. Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, one thing...
This makes sense for where mobile is at right now.
Where all processors are at, right? Like, they're like, we can put more power in these things because they're more efficient. That means we can put more power into it without having a fire start. So this is where all processors are at. So yeah, that sounds about right. All right. Next story. The sentiment around Marathon at Bungie is not great, it's claimed. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. The mood at Bungie regarding its upcoming game Marathon is, quote, not great, it is claimed. Appearing on the latest episode of SkillUp's Friends Per Seconds podcast, it's not just SkillUps, it's also Lucy James Games'. Bloomberg journalist Jason Schreier was asked what the temperature check was at Bungie relating to Marathon. Schreier replied, not great from what I've heard. There's a reason that it was planned for this year and slipped a whole year, and people I've talked to are a little pessimistic about it even hitting its current planned deadline, but we'll see. I don't know exactly when that is, sometime in 2025, I'm not sure. And that's 2025 is what I've heard as well, nothing more specific than that. He added, the sentiment I've heard is not great around it, at least of a few months ago. Schreier also pointed out that the game received a leadership shakeup earlier this year when game director Christopher Barrett and executive producer Carrie Guskos left the project. Giving his opinion on the likely reception of the game when it's released, Schreier said he didn't feel like Bungie fanbase would be enthusiastic about a PvP extraction shooter, and that he was concerned its continued development may lead to a similar issue to that of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. I mean... And this is, if you read Schreier's sort of postmortems on these things, it is the same story every time where, there's an idea, regardless of where the idea comes from, that doesn't seem to matter. It could come from the development team. It could come from up above and say, hey, make a game like this. But a lot of times these days, these teams will work on these projects for a very long time. And it feels like, we're chasing a trend here. Are we going to get there? And then they say, well, you are blank. And in this case, you are Bungie. In the previous, you are BioWare. You are, what's the Suicide Squad teams? Rocksteady. So, therefore, you've got the magic sauce. You've got the juice. Just use that. Just use that like you always have. And time again, that only works until it doesn't. And then when it breaks hard and you get a Suicide Squad. Now, that said, I think that I'm a little bit more, slightly more optimistic than Jason here, just because I think that the Bungie audience will maybe adopt an extraction shooter if it is, like we got the Warzone from Call of Duty of like, here's like a battle royale for the Call of Duty audience, and that worked really well. They hopped on that very hard, and I think that there is a Bungie audience that's like, we just like the Bungie shooting. If you have a new game mode idea, we will be down as long as the shooting feels like a Bungie game, and I think they can accomplish that. But extraction shooter, chasing that trend, it is tough. But I think the extraction shooter genre is still ripe for that Warzone moment. What do you think?
Personally, I think I've talked about this before somewhere, but I do think it's like I compare it that's right, I compare it to MOBAs where I'm like, is it a genre or is it like everyone trying to chase what like one or two teams are doing very, very well? And like that, which again, someone very pedantic point out, yes, it's still a genre. I mean, metaphorically,
right?
Like, is this actually like a market that is chaseable? Or is everyone just trying to get the same golden goose that can only pop out so many eggs, Because even Call of Duty, they put out DMZ, their extraction shooter mode. First of all, I don't know if that was good. I think all extraction shooters are boring. But I played it. I'm like, there's not a lot to do here. I think that's just how most other people felt about it too.
Right.
And now they just completely de-emphasized it after putting all that effort into making it.
Right. Not a
But-
good sign that Call of Duty couldn't make that work.
Right. At the same time, that is just a mode in Warzone, so they can just, have an escape plan out of there.
Yeah.
If you're dedicating a lot of resources into making this new game, I would assume free to play, but maybe not, because not all of them are free to play. If you're trying to make this big new project using existing IP where people did not expect extraction shooter out of all this, you really got to make it hit. And like you were saying, with just going to a studio and saying, oh, you got the sauce, make it work, that can't happen because those teams got to be where they are because they're good at doing what they do, not doing what someone else does.
Yeah. And it's, I think that there is always this back and forth we have where it's like, hey, studios shouldn't be afraid to branch out. And it's, I always go back to Christopher McQuarrie talking about, like, he was like watching Last Jedi, a movie I love. I love Last Jedi, but I think he still said something pretty poignant about it, where it was, you got to give fans what they want in a way they don't expect. You can't give them what they're not expecting. Like, you have to give them what they want. And then once you have that, then you can mix and match and try new things in that space, in that box.
Yeah, the Steve Jobs method.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And I think that a lot of, like, the Call of Duty Warzone, that was what people wanted in a way that they weren't quite expecting. The extraction shooter is a little bit too far afield for some people.
That's why the people were willing to hop onto that boat, because Warzone is enough of Call of Duty that it makes sense for that audience to get in there and try that new thing.
Yeah.
But if you're trying something very, very different, and just the thing that has in common is the control method, I think you might be setting yourself up for some disappointment there. Unfortunately.
And as I've heard before, and I've said on this show and elsewhere, Marathon, a lot is riding on it for Bungie. It does have to go well for them to, like, have a sort of unobstructed future. So if that goes well, if it does sell the way it needs to and performs the way it needs to critically, they might get a chance to reassess the future of Destiny 3 or new ventures for Destiny. And of course, that also relies on Destiny 2's ongoing content also doing well. So boy, it's like a parlay that they need to hit. And
yeah, I just hate this feeling right now of any studio should not have their future riding on, like, one game that people are uncertain of. If their next game was Destiny 3, I would have no qualms about any of this. Like, yeah, of course. They're gonna make Destiny 3. It'll have some level of success. Who knows in 2024 or 2025 where that will land. But at least we're not saying to ourselves, hope this one sticks so more people aren't affected by layoffs and everything.
Yeah. Doomsday Dan set in chat says, stop saying Destiny 3 like it's possible. And fair point. Honestly, good point, because it just really right now, the responsible thing is to stop suggesting that it's really even possible. It just doesn't feel in the cards at any time.
I was always surprised
recently.
that could have been the cards. I forgot to mention this the last time we talked about this, because we talked about this subject too recently. Destiny 2, to my understanding, was always intended to be like a 2.0, and then Activision wanted the branding of a sequel when they were still published under Activision.
And Bungie never wanted to.
That's why to me, Destiny 3 specifically always felt unlikely.
It was unlikely, yes.
Felt like what the team wanted to do.
Yeah, and that is the case. Like, they were never making a Destiny 3, so...
Yeah, they could have been making, like, something in the Destiny world. Maybe that was, like, one of the options.
Yeah, that was what Payback was going to be. Was going to be a new Destiny experience and stuff like that. So they want to do more stuff in Destiny, but that's not happening either.
With gambling for Cade 6 as a waifu,
of course, yeah. All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, more headlines, including the flop that was Borderlands. Right after this. All right, let's get back into it. Let's see what Randy Pitchford's been up to. Borderlands movie is a huge flop over first weekend. This is from Eddie McHugh at GameSpot. The Borderlands film received generally poor reviews from critics, but that doesn't always signal a lack of success at the box office, as many poorly rated films perform just fine. However, that wasn't the case for the Borderlands movie, which is bombing with only $8.8 million for its opening weekend in the United States. The movie earned $7.7 million from international markets for a global start of $16.5 million. Variety, which supplied the box office numbers, said the figure was embarrassing. The report said about 60% of Borderlands movie production costs have already been made back through pre-sales to international exhibitors. However, it's still a disappointing result for the film, which carried a reported production budget of $115 million and an advertising and distribution cost of about $30 million. Not only is Borderlands scoring poorly with critics, the film earned a T+ rating on CinemaScore. What? I'm sorry, what? That is crazy. Okay, for people that don't know, CinemaScore is exit polls at movies from people who just saw the movie, and you can't put yourself in that position. You got to think about the average of the average. Imagine someone from Idiocracy going and like answering that. The lowest a movie really ever does is like a B. There are the occasional C pluses, but really it's like if it's a bad movie, it's a really bad sign if it gets like a B plus. Because people just like are coming out, they paid money for it. They don't want to feel like they wasted their money. So they're like, I guess it was a B. And then like, an A-, A+, those are actually good scores. Those are really, really good scores. But B is like, okay, that's a bad sign. A D+ is insane. I don't think I've ever seen that. That's amazing.
Incredible right there, Jeff.
And I guess that really speaks to it. Like, we're not overstating how bad this movie is. It is an absolute trash parade the entire time. I can't believe it. But also not making money.
Yeah, that's the big thing. This is set to be a record loss.
Yep.
Like movie history or something like that.
It's definitely it's a massive gap for the box office opening.
When you combine the budget of the film with like budget on marketing and everything like that, they are set to set a record here, and not in any good way.
Yep. This is, and it's far it's like clearly video game movies can perform well, but this just had all of the elements to avoid success at every turn. Like, it's like, okay, the brand is something, but everything else it just completely missed. I'll be interested to see like how this all shakes out, but I bet this scares off a studio like Lionsgate from dipping their toes into video game movies too much going forward. And Randy Pitchford already started washing his hands from it. He's like, so what I'm hearing is you like when we make Borderlands better than when Hollywood elites make it. It's like, Randy, you were on set the entire time. What are you talking about?
Like, clearly you made this because you wanted to be the next Kojima, and you just are not, bro. You are not. You have a very moist thumb drive sitting around, and that's all you got, dude.
And this, I don't know. When I watch this movie, I get his sensibilities throughout. Like, this feels very much like he's like, and that's the Prestige the whole time. So, again, go see it. You got to see it, everybody. I can't be alone in this feeling. You all have to see it too, I think. All right, let's keep going here. Capcom would like to re-release all their classic fighting games on modern consoles. This is from My Nintendo
what if you did
News.
that?
Yeah, that sounds like not a bad idea. There was a lot of hype when, there was for Capcom revealing the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting game Arcade Classics, which is due out on the Nintendo Switch later this year, as well as other platforms. Shuhei Matsumoto, who is the producer of the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting collection Arcade Classics, told IGN recently Capcom would like to reach as many people as possible by releasing all their classic fighting games on modern systems. We want all our classic fighting games to be available for modern consoles because we just want to be able to reach as many people who may have never had the opportunity to play these games back in the day, Matsumoto began. So we constantly think forward, and we want to make sure that it's as accessible as possible for all audiences. They got a lot of fighting games that they could work with, and what is stopping them other than nothing? Like, it's just Capcom at this point. Just do it.
All right. So I was saying this in case we were going to put anything out there, but I did interview Matsumoto at EVO as well. And since I don't know what's going on with that interview, I'll just put it out here on the show. A little bit of breaking news for everyone here. So I was told the same thing when I asked about classic games. Like, he was like, yeah, like I love bringing back this old stuff. I asked him about physical copies. He said a physical copy of Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection was one of the reasons that they want to do it, because he likes collecting those things. He wants a permanent version people can play going forward. I also asked him about Xbox, and I was like, hey, it's cool that you're putting this out, but nothing for the Xbox audience? Like, that seems kind of weird, especially since you've done past releases on Xbox. And what he told me was, we would love to put on Xbox. I want the game to be everywhere personally, but due to circumstances, which I could not get further clarification on, we can't put it on Xbox right now. We'll see if that changes in the future. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, so maybe don't take that as a direct quote. But he basically said, we would like to do this, but circumstances prevent it, which, again, I couldn't get clarification on. To me, read as maybe there is something weird going on with like Xbox One publishing.
Right.
Because as we've determined now, people are like, well, maybe empty framework because that's not on Series and PS5. And that, that is why these games are being released as PS4 games for PlayStation. So that way they'll run PS5. So maybe that is the case where they would need to make an Xbox One version. And maybe Microsoft's being weird about Xbox One publishing right now. Like, you only get so many in a year or something. That's speculation on my part, but that's why I was like the only thing I could think of after getting that response.
Well, the good news does seem to be here that they are determined to get a lot of these games to return, and clearly they're very happy about the response to the Classics collection here. What do you think are the first prime candidates to make a return? I mean, to me, I do jump immediately to Darkstalkers.
Of classic games, like if it's more collections, like fighting collections, I think something with maybe some of the 3D games would be next up, like Rival Schools, stuff like that.
Yep.
I also asked him about like Capcom versus SNK, and he was like, look, we would love to do that in the future, but nothing to announce at this time. It's kind of what I got.
Yeah, a Street Fighter EX collection is what I want next, actually. Let's do that.
But I mean, they worked with SNK to do SVC Chaos that re-released recently, so I would not be surprised if we see like SVC 1 and 2 come out as maybe like a smaller collection, slightly smaller amount of money, but maybe it's like $40 because you need to collaborate with another company. Wouldn't be surprised to see that as the next one.
Yeah, I think the underlying story here just is Capcom has enough the irons in the fire, and they're successful enough that they could sort of like take a breath and be like, okay, do we have teams that can continue exploring other opportunities for us to grow and to take advantage of our IP? I mean, as they are looking for opportunities in the future for the growth that they've had over the last several years, they will reach a point where, there aren't any more Resident Evil games to remake anymore and things like that. And it's like, okay, in the meantime, while we approach that time down the road, let's get some other stuff sort of churning back into people's minds so they can feel like active franchises, so that if we did want to do something new with one of these other games, there is a baseline level of excitement we can expect, because like, not only are the old heads going to remember that these games exist, but now we've gotten a whole new generation excited, and we have like the machinations to make that happen with like people like Maximilian Dude, who can get people excited for these things just sort of by manufacturing his excitement out there. So Capcom just feels like they're in a strong place to know how to take advantage of these things and to maximize their return on it. So yeah, good news, I think.
It feels like just smart people are running all elements of that company right now, and they're like, oh, the fans want this thing? Well, the fans will give us money, so why don't we just give the fans what they want?
Exactly.
It's just like, why don't all companies do that,
Yep, absolutely. Fortnite's Disney games and experiences are still a few years away. This is from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. Shout out to Eddie for all the hard work. Disney has provided an update on how its partnership with Epic Games to create games and experiences for Fortnite is coming along. And it's still some time off. In a blog post, Disney said Fortnite's all-new games and entertainment universe themed around Disney is still a few years away. Disney also reiterated what it's hoping to achieve with this partnership, which saw Disney invest a further $1.5 billion into Epic Games. Disney said fans can think of it like a place where all your favorite Disney characters and worlds converge in one connected universe. In this connected universe inside Fortnite, Disney fans can watch, play, and even create their own adventures. It sounds similar to Epic's deal with LEGO, which saw LEGO invest significant capital into Epic Games to create what would eventually become LEGO Fortnite. That game exists as one of the multiple distinct games/experiences on Fortnite, alongside titles like Rocket Racing and Fortnite Festival, in addition to the original Battle Royale game, which was not the original game at all, actually.
Nope.
So
save the world.
Yep. While Disney fans have to wait a while longer for the Disney/Fortnite experiences, Disney villains Maleficent, Cruella de Vil, and Captain Hook are coming to Fortnite this fall. And from Pixar, members of The Incredibles are coming to Fortnite also this fall. And the next set of Star Wars characters and items like IG-11, Moff Gideon, and Grogu back bling are coming this week. So there's a lot more. Obviously, they have this
Grogu back bling.
Grogu back bling. That's a great phrase.
Never thought you would read that.
No, well, listen, when I was studying journalism, and I never did that either, I always knew this day would come where I had to say Grogu back bling. Yeah, I mean, we knew that the big experience was going to be a few years off. They announced it like when the deal was done, and we know these projects can take a long time to come together, and this was never going to be some small little side project. The $1.5 billion investment signified how big this was supposed to be, so we knew that was a ways off. In the meantime, how do you feel about like Incredibles showing up in Fortnite? I don't know, is that because it's a little weird to me.
Bro, Elastigirl in Fortnite.
Okay, listen, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining, of course. Give me those Pixar moms, of course.
Damn right. I'm excited about Disney experiences, like what this means, like what the individual one means, what multiple could mean. Me and my friends recently hopped back into Fortnite to just like see what is Fortnite nowadays.
Right.
We play it here on the site sometimes when new characters drop or there's a new mode or something that we want to check out. And we tried out the various experiences like rocket racing, and the big one for us was what's it called? Festival, the rock band one, because we were big rock band people back in the day. That's what we did during high school. It was all the rage back then. And those got good. I remember telling you when those first came out that they were jank. There was some weirdness around them. Some things didn't feel right. But both Rocket Racing and Festival are now very good.
Okay, that's a good sign.
Yeah, now I just have Fortnite taking up like 100 gigs on my hard drive because me and my friends just hop in there. Sometimes they were like, hey, let's see what the songs are in Festival this week. Let's, we play some Lady Gaga, some Metallica. We laugh about it all and have a good time. I'm interested to see what spins out of all this Fortnite Disney stuff, because I mean, I don't know if they can make some kind of interesting, like really well produced experience within Fortnite. It could be cool, like those things. If they have like a team putting a lot of effort into it, I think it's neat.
Yeah, and it it feels like Disney trying to like stake out a future in gaming that is different than their previous efforts of, hey, maybe we'll be a publisher, maybe we'll just license out games, and kind of oscillating between those two positions, and now being like, well, what kind of company is Disney? It's like, well, we're a big IP company, obviously, but we're also like we are experiences. Like you go to experience our films, and then you come to the parks to experience those films in the real world. Having like them say, okay, well, let's take that line of thinking and apply it to games. How would we do that? A Fortnite Disney experience is the way you do that right now. I think it probably changes in the next 10 years, but for now, this is the closest thing to like, yeah, maybe, right? And maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is just what games look like for a very long time. And in the meantime, Disney sort of hopping on at this point doesn't feel like they missed the train yet. It doesn't feel like they're too late. They kind of feel like early movers still. So we'll see if they're able to capitalize on this.
Yeah.
The Witcher 4 will feature Geralt, but not as the lead character, actor claims. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC, who says The Witcher 4 will feature the return of Geralt, but according to the character's voice actor, he won't be the star. Speaking as part of an interview, Doug Cockle commented on the fourth game, which is currently in development at Polish studio CD Projekt Red. The Witcher 4 has been announced. I can't say anything about it, Cockle said. We know that Geralt will be part of the game. We just don't know how much. The game won't focus on Geralt, so it's not about his this time. We don't know who it's about. I'm excited to find out. Geralt, I mean, listen, I'm going to say how I'm going to say it.
I have no idea. Listen, I just know him as Jerry of the River, thanks to Maximilian and Soul Calibur 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna call him Gerald.
Just call him Jerry.
Old Jerry. Jerry's been in a bunch of games now, and like I'm pretty sure they're passing on to like Siri or something like that. I haven't played many of the Witcher games. I tried. Not for me,
bro. Everyone is so over gruff, old, sad dad character. No, we're all about the hot, young female lead right now. Everybody's doing it. Witcher's getting in on too. Come on now. And
but I do my understanding of like the way witching works in this game and in this universe that's completely fine. It's not like there is just one Witcher. It's like Witcher's a job title.
Yeah, it's a title.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I was gonna say like something else, but that's actually a spoiler. Never mind.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I never played the Witcher games just because I tried 3. I was like, "Ooh, this is Western RPG. Yes, Western RPG. Just not for me." But I get it, and hey, I know, more power to you, Witcher fans, I guess.
Finally, there was a Nintendo Dolphin console discovered, and console variations kind of give us the lowdown on exactly what's going on here. Many people believe this Project Dolphin console never existed, but thanks to some exclusive pictures that console variations was allowed to take, after 7 years of being a secret, we could finally give the Dolphin the spotlight. There was a bunch of pictures taken of this system that apparently has been sitting on Rare Limited's shelves in their office for a very long time. They were able to get it down and take a look at it, and it doesn't have any ports in the back, and it feels heavy compared to a regular GameCube, and that's because it is made out of wood. It is a early mock-up that has no internal. They're like, yeah, it's a model. Yeah, they were like, people were like, oh, maybe we get some early firmware and kind of see so get a little insight into like what development was like. And it's like, no, that's not what this is. This is just them showing the console to close partners, or maybe honestly, maybe it's even possible that there was an early like blueprint design. I don't know what it would be for something like this, but blueprint design, and someone at Rare is like, I have a workshop at home. I'll just build up a model so we could see what it looks like.
Yeah,
and maybe someone did that, but it's still pretty fun to see this thing. I like that these things exist because this is how people used to do things like this. I remember early when the GameCube was getting announced, IGN, actually right after it was done being called like IGN 64, was like, okay, we see these early pictures of what the GameCube controller looks like. We're gonna like build a model out of clay so we can see what it feels like, and doesn't it feel great and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So I like this sort of thing, but nope, not an early GameCube at all.
Okay, and also shouts to consolevariations.com, a place I just spend random parts of the day just browsing because I'm like, ooh, I would like this limited edition system, and ooh, that one looks really nice.
Yep, I was definitely on there for I think I was trying to find the specific model of Sega Rally 2 that I had at my arcade, and there was a little bit of coverage on consolevariations.com actually on their forums. But yeah, consolevariations.com, everyone go check them out.
I got one last thing to sneak in under the wire here because I don't think you got. Just a bit of a sad one this morning. We found out that Rachel Lillis, the voice of Misty and Jessie in the Pokemon anime originally, did pass away from breast cancer, unfortunately. So shouts to her for just being a huge part of so many of our childhoods.
Yep, rest in peace. Absolutely, that's a shame. But yep, rest in power. Like people are going to remember that voice forever. All right, let's see here. I have the poll. Let me bring that up right now. There we go. Have you ever been to a gaming convention? 73% said no. 27% said yes. That's a pretty big number of people, I think. A quarter of all respondents of the 3,000 people who voted have been to a gaming convention before.
I'll be honest, I almost would expect it to be more from the Giant Bomb audience specifically. So yeah, I actually find it slightly surprising, only slightly.
Yeah, I think, it takes so much to like, you have to be like kind of close. And if you're not close, then it takes a lot of resources to travel to one of these things. And I suppose people are like, maybe not, they hear of PAX and they hear of Gamescom and they hear of these things. Maybe they actually don't even hear about the one that is happening down the street at like the next town over, right? It's easy for those to just come and go and not hear about them.
Yeah, whatever state you live in, or if you live in a big state like, say, California or Texas, there's probably something going on in your corner of your area or, country if you're international or whatever. Definitely get out to, because even some of those smaller gaming conventions are starting to get pretty good at being just a place to hang out in the free play areas, go to like some of the panels that gets, even smaller ones sometimes get some pretty cool people in there, even if it's just like maybe your favorite YouTuber shows up to like, like a Long Island retro gaming or something like that. Like, check it out if it's within your means to do so, because going to a convention, for me, obviously it's the big fighting game tournaments, which are now just conventions. That's where I like to hang out. I like to go to Combo Breaker especially every year, and then Evo when I can get out there too. It's a ton of fun.
Yep. I mean, there was that one I saw in New York City this past weekend where there were like a bunch of arcade games around older planes in a museum. That was really cool. That was cool looking. I had a bunch of friends go there, and people go to like Too Many Games in Philadelphia, I think. And then I got some like local ones where it's like about retro game collecting, things like that. All right. I got a new poll question we'll get to in a second. Before we do that, Sean, where can people find you on the internet and all that good stuff?
At TurboShawn _ on Twitter.com. Here at Giant Bomb for a whole variety of things that I'm, including stuff I'm still working on, still trucking away at that Evo video. Yeah, it's working. It takes a lot to get one of those out.
Oh, yeah.
And then in a little bit here, actually, Jeff, we got to get ready for this.
Yep.
We got a stream of Tomba Special Edition with some of the guys from Limited Run who worked on it. So
yeah, we're gonna just hang out and talk about the game a little bit. It's gonna be good. We're gonna get that going right after this, everybody. So stick around.
Yeah, so if you're watching live, just stick around.
Stick around. We'll probably go for about an hour or so. Just kind of play some Tomba. All right. New poll question. I have it right here. Do you want Nintendo to support dual screen gaming on the Switch 2? Yes or no? Vote now. We will talk about it on Game Mess Mornings, on Giant Bomb, on Wednesday. Speaking of Giant Bomb, tomorrow's Bombcast. Wednesday will not have a Blake Club. Daikatana, Daikagrubba, Grubba Grubba is done. That is completely finished. Go watch that. There's some incredible moments up until the very end. Oh my God. But we will get a new season of Blake Club going with Mike here very soon. As a reminder, he's playing a game on the Wii. He doesn't know what it is yet. You'll have to tune in to find out alongside him.
It's really
good. A lot of fun. But in the meantime, we will find some other stuff to like maybe fill in that slot. We have other things happening later this week. So stick around to Giant Bomb. We'll let you guys know exactly what the schedule looks like here pretty soon. All right, Sean, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
It was a fun time, man.
Thank you all for watching and listening. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.